So in this video, I'm hopefully going to give you some tips for handling interviews, to handle a situation when you're going to be asked a question in public. Now, this could be maybe you're going to be a guest on somebody's podcast, or possibly you're being interviewed by a journalist, or maybe you're taking part in a fireside chat at an event and you're going to be on stage being interviewed by somebody. And probably this could also be relevant to any kind of interview that you do, but think about it more at events at the moment, or if you were speaking to a journalist. So you need to realise that the most important thing is not you, however great your ego might feel because you've been asked to do an interview. It's about the audience and where they are. So you have to make sure that you know exactly who this audience is and the kind of things that will be interested in them, so that you adjust what you're going to say to make it relevant to them, things that matter to them. You'll have heard this before, but it's so super important. Do not talk about what you do. Talk about how the work you do impacts people, how what you do helps other people. You want to be telling stories that really resonate with the particular audience that you are talking to, so that they can really imagine what you do rather than just listen to you telling them what you do. Please try and avoid acronyms and jargon and things like that. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It doesn't make you sound clever. It just makes people a bit confused, and they're spending too much time trying to decipher what you mean that they actually miss the next bit you say, and they then switch off altogether because they've lost it. And that's such a shame and such a wasted opportunity just because you chucked a few acronyms in. So really try and avoid that. You want to think about planning for this interview in the same way that it would be if you were going to be presenting to these people, if you were giving a 20-minute chat. It's just in the form of a conversation. So you still want to think about having lots of great examples, having lots of interesting anecdotes. You're just going to be doing it more in the sense of a conversation. Now, even if it is not with a journalist, and I think this is with somebody, it's fairly innocuous, it's just going to be a nice little meeting, a nice little chat at this event. You don't know that, so don't plan for an easy ride. Always assume there's going to be some negatives. Plan for those negatives, and also plans to move away from them to move the conversation where you want to go. So you will need to address any negatives, acknowledge them and address them, but also make sure that you can then move away to where you want the conversation to go. Have a goal for the conversation. There's a reason you said yes to this interview. Make sure that you have what you want to talk about, an opportunity for it to be talked about, that you can steer the conversation that way if necessary. And bear in mind, it isn't necessarily going to be a really long chat, and probably it shouldn't be, particularly if it's a virtual one, because our attention spans are limited. So make sure that you can make your important points early on. Tell your best stories first. Get your interview going really well with the best things. Don't treat it like, oh, I'll save it all to the end, because you might not get there. Good luck.